Does an individual exist here? While we inquire ourselves, while one inquire about oneself, he comes to know whether a separate self as that particular entity, as that particular individual, does he exist? Does he exist? We have assumed ourselves as the body. We are not able to get beyond our body. Who? When I say we, I am not able to get beyond my body. Who says in me that I am not able to get beyond my body? I am stuck in the forms. Thoughts are made up of forms and sounds. And that is the only medium we have. An individual has only thoughts, both audio as well as video forms, with all the feelings and sensations and all the past registrations he holds. It comes into the surface of his mind or consciousness. And he is that. When a thought is there, I am that thought. The thinker is the thought. It has gone so deep, the thinking has gone so deep. Thinking is being done. It is an activity of doing. Our living has become synonymous with thinking. Only by thinking, we trust that we live. That is why, first of all, how can a thought arise? What is a thought? What is the constitution of a thought? Thought is nothing but the thinker. When I have a thought about my next moment or tomorrow, some plan, furiously the thinking goes on as if the thinker is actually moving that whole thinking machinery. He is involved in the thinking. He goes along feverishly. I am behind the thought. I am in the thought. I am the thought. I plan for that particular event. I plan for that particular project. With the complete body involved with that thinking, I am lost in that thinking. This is what is our so-called life, every moment of life in every individual. To probe into the reality, we have to probe into this thing first. And later on, we shall see, is there anything at all exists outside of it? Because the totality or the whole is from an individual's angle only. When I wake up, then only the whole cosmos wakes up. In my waking up, my past registrations, my memories, they wake up, and with that the world wakes up. My thoughts or my registrations are the conditionings are the world here, my world maybe. The world per se, does it have any relevance at all on its own? You get this? Here, I drew a picture. I have drawn a picture. Symbolically, I have drawn this circle representing the totality or the infinity. It is only a representative sketch. Okay. Here, I drew some plants, hills, one human being, water source, sun, moon, and the birds flying. That is the other beings in this cosmos, alive beings in this cosmos, apart from the human being. It is only a representative picture of the infinity. Infinity. The empty space within this circle, assume a very big, gigantic, infinite oneness in which the complete cosmos, the universes, the galaxies and everything put together, including this observer of it and people in this globe, in this earth, all are in that. Assume this is the totality. Okay, this is the infinity. And when does this knowledge of infinity come to an individual? The moment his mind has to wake up, he has to get up from the deep sleep. Deep sleep, everyone becomes nothing. There is no mind there to refer anything at all. The mind is absent. It has gone into something. Whenever we inquire for the reality, we have to always take into account with reference to the deep sleep. This is the right path to take the investigation to the deeper layers of our mind. Otherwise, we will miss track of it. Where did I go in my deep sleep? In everyone's deep sleep, where do they go? Where the mind goes? The mind with complete cosmos. When an individual wakes up, his mind wakes up, isn't it? That is, the consciousness assumes that physical limitations as that body with the recognition of that entity's past thinking, slowly thinking about one or the other thing from deep sleep. The person slowly wakes up. Just a few seconds before the consciousness entering him or her as that entity, where was it? This point should never be forgotten. It should always be in relation to the deep sleep. The whole probe, the whole investigation, the whole self-inquiry has to take place to find out the truth. Because truth is not elsewhere in the physical cosmos. It is this truth. What is consciousness? Consciousness is its content. Content in the sense messages, information. In the computer, what is the software? Software is nothing but the program. A program which is going to perform certain actions and give out certain results or presentations. In the same way, in the deep sleep, without the current called the intelligence or the consciousness, without content, it enters into that particular entity with that entity's content, with that entity's past registrations, and his world wakes up. his relationships wake up. Always the inquiry has to be in relation with deep sleep only. You get this? See, here I have started explaining about this totality or the infinity. What is the purpose? From whose angle is it? The person who has woken up, from his angle, he observes the totality. Otherwise, where is the totality? Where was the cosmos in the deep sleep? Everything arises with that particular mind when it wakes up. So this has to be always in relation with deep sleep. Okay. Now the woken up consciousness, the awakened consciousness, now it observes the totality. Okay. In this, what he observes? He observes everything in space. Even the space is being observed. That is why in Hindu Vedanta, they emphatically say everything that is perceivable is the manifested, including the space. I am sitting in the starlit sky. From the earth, I am observing some beautiful stars. It is from my angle. An entity, a localized mind or consciousness looks at it. You get this? So there is always, for to look at anything, a distant star, or to look within, what am I containing? What is the thought at this moment in this entity? To look within also, the direction is turned inwards only. So the focusing goes in and out. So the moment there is a focusing takes place in each location called an individual being, it's only a directional, it's only relational, it's only the mind. So mind has to wake up even to seek the truth about himself. And definitely, if he tries to seek the truth outside of himself, will he ever get it? Not at all. Because the truth doesn't lie anywhere outside at all. He is the truth. The very focusing, the very intellect which has come upon him and looks at the stars, directing that particular intelligence through that intellect, through that mind, that is the very entity. It is on the strength of that intelligence only he looks at that, he directs his intellect and looks at that star. Sir, one thing we have to be sure. The investigation has to take place only within. Otherwise, this mind cannot be thwarted or understood or controlled or satiated. Which is the direction that has to be primarily established. Look within. Because everything, including the space, who is the onlooker of the space or the manifested? He is also out of that. He is also standing in that. He is also in the manifested. Out of the totality, out of the total manifested appearances, one locational intellect is probing. Directionally, he is looking at the other objects. You get this? Everything is again happening within the woken up mind, woken up consciousness, one who is undergoing the waking state. You get this? Unless the probe is taken in comparison, in relation with the deep sleep, the dream sleep, and the waking state, it will not be a holistic investigation. Nothing can be found out if it is done partially. Only the woken person, the waking consciousness, does some investigation, probing into its own self. Because fundamentally, the consciousness which has arisen in an individual, where was it some moments ago while he was fast asleep? This is the basic question. You get into this question, probe into this question, delve into this question, live with this question. To pierce through, to cut through the conditioned, this conditioned consciousness, we need a very sharp intellect, which is able to intuitively see through the names and forms being carried by thoughts and being maneuvered in an individual continuously throughout his waking state, also in the dream state also. Unless we hold the purpose in front of us at every moment of this investigation, we will lose the very purpose of it. The purpose is to realize, to know, does an individual exist here? Does an individual consciousness as a separate entity with a form and a name and lot of registrations, does he or she exist? Okay? We will meet in the next satsang. Thank you.